Welcome back to This is Baseball. I'm Brandon Johnson. A lot has happened since last week's episode, so I feel like we have a lot to catch up on and a lot to get into. So we're just going to go ahead and hop in. So over the last week, Major League Baseball announced that Negro League statistics will be integrated into MLB stats. And this is really good for baseball because now a lot of the great players from the Negro Leagues are getting the recognition that they deserve. And one of my big takeaways from the Negro League stats being included in MLB stats is that Josh Gibson might be one of the best offensive players the game has ever seen. Now, these stats are from 1920 to 1948. And let's get into Josh Gibson and see where he ranks among the best now that this has happened. So Josh Gibson is the career leader in batting average at .372, surpassing Ty Cobb. He is the career slugging percentage leader at .718, above Babe Ruth and Ted Williams. He's top 3 in career on base percentage, behind Ted Williams and Babe Ruth. He's number 1 in career OPS, ahead of Babe Ruth, Ted Williams. Single season batting average for .466. That's the highest all time. He did that in 1943. Single season slugging percentage, you guessed it, Josh Gibson at the top of the list, .974, 1937. He's actually in the top 5 twice. He was .871 in 1943. He's top 3 in single season on base percentage with .564 in 1943. That was best for third place. Barry Bonds has the 2 spots above that. Single season OPS, he's top 1 and 2, and then Barry Bonds is third. And then single season ERA, Satchel Paige, 1.01 in 1944. This is from Yahoo Sports. Willie Mays' career hit total increased from 3,293 after including his 1948 season with the Birmingham Black Barons. Manny Minoso joined the 2000 hit club. Jackie Robinson now has 1,567 career hits after including his time with the Kansas City Monarchs. Satchel Paige has 125 wins after including his 28 that he had in the Negro League. So a lot of great players have now jumped up very high on the list. And as I said, Josh Gibson is one of the best offensive players the game has ever seen. And now that will show in the record books, in the history books. So this is all really awesome news and really cool to see. If you have time, just take a look and see the new names that are kind of sitting in the top of the record books because of this. So you remember Shohei Ohtani's former interpreter, Ippei Mizuhara, who had stolen millions of dollars from Shohei Ohtani. He was in court today, and he pled guilty to bank and tax fraud charges during a change of plea hearing in federal court. And these 2 counts carry a maximum sentence of 33 years. His sentencing is set for October 25th. Shohei Ohtani had a short statement and said, "Now that the investigation has been completed, this full admission of guilt has brought important closure to me and my family. I want to sincerely thank the authorities for finishing their thorough and effective investigation so quickly and uncovering all of the evidence. This has been uniquely challenging time for me, so I am especially grateful for my team, my family, agent, and agency, lawyers and advisors, along with the entire Dodgers organization, who showed endless support throughout the process. It's time to close this chapter, move on, and continue to focus on playing and winning ball games. That was per ESPN from Alden Gonzalez. So, as Ohtani stated, this brings a close to what has been a really interesting time around baseball surrounding Shohei Ohtani and Ippei Mizuhara. A lot of people were saying that Mizuhara is a fall guy for Ohtani, but there has been no evidence that has been uncovered that suggests that that is the case. This was all Ippei Mizuhara doing his own thing, and today his guilty plea and all of the evidence surrounding that proves that. But that's not the only gambling news that has come to surface this week. Multiple players are facing suspensions due to gambling. One player is being permanently banned from baseball due to gambling. Padres infielder, and I'm probably butchering this name, Tucupita Marzano is being banned for life. He is 24 years old, signed by the Padres as an amateur free agent in Venezuela. He was traded to the Pirates in 2021, and then he went back to the Padres on the waivers. So this is from CBSSports.com. MLB's investigation found that Marzano didn't just bet on baseball frequently. He's claimed to have gambled more than $150,000 across nearly 400 baseball bets, including on MLB and international contests, but that he even bet on his own team when he was on the Pirates. Almost all of Marzano's Pirates bets were on which club would win the game or whether there would be more or less than a certain number of runs scored in the game. Marzano didn't appear in any of the bets that he placed because he was sidelined due to injury. As I said earlier, 4 other players have been banned for 1 year. A's pitcher Michael Kelly, Diamondbacks pitcher Andrew Salfrank, Padres pitcher Jay Groom, and Phillies infielder Jose Rodriguez. All 1-year bans. They all placed bets on MLB games. So this really got me wondering, what is Major League Baseball's gambling policy? So this is straight from MLB.com. It's Rule 21. So gambling. Any player, umpire, or club, or league official or employee who shall bet any sum whatsoever upon any baseball game in connection with which the bettor has no duty to perform shall be declared ineligible for 1 year. So those 4 players that I mentioned earlier, A's Michael Kelly, Padres Jay Groom, Phillies Jose Rodriguez, and Diamondbacks Andrew Salfrank, they all get the 1 year because they bet on games that they were not directly involved in. They had no duty to perform, as the rule states. And this is where Tucupita Marzano got his permanent ban on baseball. So number 2, any player, umpire, or club, or league official or employee who shall bet any sum whatsoever upon any baseball game in connection with which the bettor has a duty to perform shall be declared permanently ineligible. It's pretty clear of what's at stake, and it's just as simple as don't gamble on the sport that you play in. Now, with the legalization of sports gambling, you've seen a rise in players being suspended or permanently banned from their respective sports for gambling, most notably in the NFL. Calvin Ridley was suspended indefinitely for gambling on games while he was recovering from an injury. Now he has been reinstated and he's back in the league. Multiple other players across the NFL have gotten dinged with gambling suspensions. NBA, multiple players have been hit, most notably Jonte Porter for the Toronto Raptors. Brother of Denver Nuggets Michael Porter Jr. got permanently banned from NBA for violating their gambling policy. So the leagues around America are taking gambling very seriously in order to protect the integrity of their game and have put into place very, very clear and straightforward rules and regulations in order to maintain that integrity. And all of these players violated that in various ways. So, unfortunately, I doubt these will be the last players to get suspended or banned completely from their sports for gambling. So, honestly, my advice would be to just not gamble if you are a professional athlete. It seems like it is far too easy to be irresponsible when you are gambling, and you are going to get caught. You may not get caught gambling right off the bat, but you eventually will get caught. All of these players and Ippei Mizuhara can attest to this. The Royals opened up a series on the road against Cleveland. And this is honestly a huge series because before the Royals lost tonight, they were 4 games behind Cleveland. Cleveland is now 40-20. Kansas City's 36-26. And it was looking good for the Royals at the start. They went up 5-0. Bobby Witt Jr. hit 2 home runs. But Seth Lugo had what was his worst outing of the season. He gave up 5 runs over 6 innings. And Bobby Witt Jr. had a costly error in the 7th that helped Cleveland have a 5-run 7th inning and ultimately win the game 8-5. So the Royals have 2 more against Cleveland on the road. Hopefully they can bounce back tomorrow. They have Brady Singer on the mound. Cleveland hasn't announced a pitcher yet, but the Royals, like I said, they have 2 more against the Guardians this week. They'll also host them for 4 at the end of the month. We'll probably preview that as that gets closer, but this is a tough stretch for them, and this is really going to test the Royals in June. It's a stretch where you really just kind of want them to go 500 because they play 3 against Cleveland. Then they host Seattle for 3. Seattle's in the top of their division. Then they have the New York Yankees at home for 4. Obviously, the Yankees are on top of the American League East and are playing out of their minds. Then they play the Dodgers. And then they play Oakland and Texas, Miami. And then, like I said, they'll finish off the month hosting Cleveland. So they have 17 games this month against teams that are 500 or better. And I think the Royals are a good team. I think there's obviously some things that they need to get better at. Most notably, their bullpen has been a little bit rocky. But I think they're a good team. I think they're a playoff team. I think that they're going to hang around. But this is really the first true test for them. And also, they're in a little bit of a skid right now. And I love to see how they're able to navigate this and not completely fall apart, because at this point in the season, the Royals typically have had, at least one 10-game losing streak, and we are 5 days into June, and we haven't really had that yet. We haven't had a moment where we're really concerned about the Royals, and I'm not concerned about them now. I think that they've done all the right things to show that they're a good team. Like, we're still talking about the Royals in June. That hasn't happened for about 10 years. So there's a lot to be excited about still. And you should look at this stretch and feel confident as a Royals fan and say that we can hang with these good teams. And I think that they will. And if they make it through June, July, their schedule kind of lightens up a little bit softer schedule record-wise. And one thing that the Royals have been doing really well at is beating teams that they are clearly better than and winning games that way. And I think July, they'll have a really good opportunity to continue to do that. So today, sticking with Cleveland, today is the 50-year anniversary of the infamous 10-cent beer night. 10-cent beer night was a promotion held by the then Cleveland Indians during a matchup against the Texas Rangers at Cleveland Stadium on June 4th, 1974. So like I said, 50 years ago. The idea was that this 10-cent beer night would improve their attendance by offering cups of alcohol for 10 cents. The regular price for beer was 65 cents. So I was kind of looking on the Wikipedia page, and it's kind of funny. So this says 6 days earlier, the Indians and the Rangers had been involved in a widely publicized bench clearing brawl. And this game, the 10-cent beer night, drew a rowdy and belligerent crowd due to the brawl in Texas earlier in the week. As the game proceeded, on-field incidents continued to occur, and massive alcohol consumption further agitated the fans. A lot of fans threw lit firecrackers and streaked across the playing field. Most sober fans left, which left pretty much only very drunk fans. And a riot broke out on the field in the ninth inning. When the fans rushed the field, players had to protect themselves with bats while they were trying to get away from the field. And the crew chief declared the game as a forfeit in favor of Texas due to the uncontrollable fan behavior. So something that I think doesn't get talked about often with 10-cent beer night is that Cleveland had done promotions like this often, and there weren't any incidents. I think the fact that they had the brawl in Texas a week earlier, I think there was a lot of juice and tension still from that, and you had a very silly night on 10-cent beer night on June 4th, 1974. I think something interesting, like I said, there were lit firecrackers thrown onto the field. I don't think you can even get into the game with firecrackers now, let alone even get onto the field the way that you used to be able to storm the field back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, like those videos that you see. Some fans had knives, chains, and clubs that they put together with pieces of the stadium seats that they broke. They rushed the field, threw bottles from the stands. It was an absolutely wild occurrence, and something that you will really never probably see again in any sporting event ever. That's all we have this week. Thank you so much for listening. I will catch you next week.